Today marks the second edition of the running series on the transition between industry and academia. The perspective we hope to capture in today's interview is a real life experience, somebody who's moved from academia to the industry and has really made it. We've got Dr. Alex Reip, who is the Chief Executive of Oxford Nanosystems. Alex, you graduated from Brunel last year, December.
I did indeed, yes.
And a few months along the line, you were CEO. What happened?
Well, it was, yeah, it's not the usual career progression. While I started writing up my PhD, I went to lots of conferences, as you do, and I met a professor at one of them who I had a great chat with. I exchanged business cards, and he was very interested in the work that I was doing. And then at one stage, while I'm writing up, I just get an email from him saying that they've just got funding to start a new company, and it's doing similar work to what I was doing on my PhD, and that they're looking for someone to jump in as chief scientist and basically take the idea that they've got the funding for and actually create the technology. And yeah, and 2.5 years after I did that, the board then made me CEO, and here I am a year and a half later. So it's it's been very fun and quick, that's for sure.
Did you plan always this kind of journey? Because maybe some people will think, why the move from academia to industry?
Yeah, I had, to be honest, before this happened, I had no idea what I was going to do after I finished. My sort of main focus has always been more forensic-based things. So I was sort of just looking out to go into that, and that was just before the government closed down the Forensic Science Service, and then basically ruined my thought of what I was going to do. And yeah, so I always sort of thought more moving towards industry than academia. It was always going to be on the cards, and yes, but I was not expecting to go from academia to sort of a startup. It was always going to be sort of large organisation, being a chemist, that's sort of where you go. So going into a sort of a small startup company was definitely a change from what I thought.
Well, now, since you've been there for like a few years now, and well, you progressed very quickly as well, what do you think are the skills required to move from academia to industry?
The main skills I think you need to be very good with timekeeping. As while I was doing my PhD, I could just spend ages doing things, whereas for industry you need to make sure that you use your time as best you can, because, well, as they always say, time is money, and so you need to do everything as fast and as efficiently as possible. And yeah, so that I think would be the main thing you need to do. And for working in a startup, also some sort of imagination to be able to think what you can do next, and or where you need to go with it, or what you could possibly do with it to then open up new markets for the product.
So creativity, but in a more marketing and applied way than
Yeah.
just creativity research, I guess. I mean, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's something.
I'll not for a minute think that this was a very smooth process. Obviously, you would have faced some challenges. Can you walk us through a number of them?
I think for me, the main challenges has been being given an idea and actually having to turn it into reality with no form of training or idea of how to do it. So, I mean, going through a PhD and sort of learning and doing things is one thing, but going into the wide world and going, yeah, okay, we've got this amount of money, you can work on this for a bit, we need you to develop this thing so that we can go out and basically sell it. Yeah, that was very, at the time, very terrifying when I first started, but it's sort of something that you get used to. And then making sort of the step up from that and going into a more sort of management leadership role when I became CEO, everything then changes, because you then, rather than just be able to, I'm a bit of an introvert, so sitting in a lab I very much enjoy doing, but then having to actually go out and properly network and go and talk to, I mean, we've been talking to sort of worldwide international companies and things to sell our tech to, so it's yeah, you need to sort of learn all of this stuff very quickly.
How did you learn them?
On the job, talking to more people you can talk to, the better. Where we're based at Harwell, there are lots of small startup companies, and so we have a good sort of environment of learning off how others are doing, and talking to all of the other CEOs of small companies and seeing how things went wrong for them and how we can do things better is, that's definitely the best way of doing it.
So let's imagine, knowing what you know now, let's go back on time when you were doing the PhD.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes. Well, yes.
And if you were there nearly finished when you started to meet these people and make this connection, what would you do differently?
I think I would try and write up faster, because doing a full-time job and writing up a thesis is not something I would ever recommend doing. I think that's one of the major things, and also just generally trying to be more relaxed, as I was finding everything very stressful. And yeah, as soon as I found that I could sort of relax into things happened much easier, and yeah, things worked better that way too.
But do you enjoy the kind of journey? I thought you said that.
Oh no, I did really enjoy it. I just in some ways wish that I'd done things a little bit quicker, so that I didn't have as much on my plate in one time. But no, looking back at it now, I really enjoyed everything. So yeah, I wouldn't change it really.
Well, we say that PhD students are multitask, right?
Oh yes.
So.
Oh yeah, no, multitasking is definitely something I had to do there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so now you were saying earlier when we were chatting that now you're still fundamentally in contact with the university because your role is still part of a research and development company.
Oh yes.
So do you think it would be kind of easier to come back to academia? How are you finding the interaction with academia now from the other side?
Well, for collaboration, it's really nice. I mean, when we started, I was not expecting to find that the university that I just graduated for had one of the best engineering departments, especially for thermal engineering in the world. And so when we were first looking at finding someone to do some tests, and then the first paper I read, sort of, Brunel University on the header, it was like, oh great, I get to go back and find so the Professor Karianis that I'm now sort of working with, we've got Innovate UK, the main sort of UK grant board. We've worked with a few grants already and we've joined him as part of an excerpt program now. So I mean, collaboration is really a really effective part for small startup companies. It's very necessary. To be able to have all the kit in a university means that we don't need to have it, which saves us time and money, having experts doing stuff for us. So yeah, so the actual change going back from industry to academia, I think it's because we're still working with academia, it makes things easier. But for me, I very much enjoyed the industry side of it and finding where things go and where we can sort of sell and where we can put the technology and what we can do with it. So
yeah, so that's very good. So then, as we were saying earlier, with in our other interview with Peter Redding, fundamentally it looks to us that between industry and academia there should be a strong link, and what can be done in academia can actually benefit from industry if we understand, from the academic side, if we understand the big challenge that you guys are facing on the proper applicability.
Oh yes, yeah, no, this is one thing that we found. I mean, we've got, as well as Brunel, we've got links with lots of universities who are doing sort of the more fundamental tests of we have a coating, and it's what our coating can do. And through that we found sort of other uses which we never thought of, as we've always sort of seen it as a thermal technology, and people have seen it as more of a solar absorbance tech as well. So it's working with universities, you find many different applications for things and get sort of the fundamental research done, which is what's necessary to take it forward.
That sounds perfect.
What are you mentioned that you don't intend coming back to academia. That was the sense I got. Why?
For me, I really enjoy, or have really enjoyed, doing so much different stuff working in industry. Like, I mean, when working in academia as a PhD student, you're sort of focused on one project, whereas when I first joined the company, I was focused on the technology and developing the science, but at the same time I was doing marketing stuff, going out and talking to customers, and sort of a much more broad base than what I would be doing in academia. And I really took to that, so I really enjoyed that, much more than I was expecting to. Yeah.
So any advice to people, current students who are thinking of making such a move, moving from academia to the industry? What advice do you have for them?
I think for people sort of even considering it, my main advice I think would be go and buy some business cards. Be the first thing, because then you've just always got your details. Go to conferences, give out your business cards, because whether you're staying in industry or whether you're staying in academia or moving to industry, opening networks like that really helps with things further down the line. And I mean, people that I spoke to during my PhD I've now got back into contact with, because I've suddenly sort of found that the things that they were doing at the time was relevant to what we're doing. So yeah, that would be my biggest piece of advice, is open up a broad network, as broad as you possibly can.
Get business cards. Did I have one during my PhD? No. So don't make similar mistake. Go out there, get business cards, network as much as you can, and who knows, you could be bigger than Alex. Thank you very much, Alex.
Very welcome.
For taking time off your busy schedule and talking to us today.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.